Hello, everybody. Jared here, and I'm going to be doing some more. I don't know if you'll have noticed, I've done a lot of Swifty content, and I'm going to continue to do that along with performances, videos, and whatnot. But I'm going to say that my next group of videos, I'm going to do the turning my mom and drag sister to a Swifty. I'm still going to do that every day. It's done like a little shuffle wheel, and I'm going to do my best to not repeat songs. If it does repeat songs, I'll just pick another one. And I am keeping a track of what songs you have already sent. So that's the first thing. So I also have another idea that I wanted to do that I'm sure other people have done, but it's songs that get me whatever emotion. So one, like, we could be making somebody cry, making someone that hit home. I have one song, Taylor songs that make me feel like a bad ASS, and songs, and some of the songs that make me happy, or ones that are so mad, and then songs I scream on the top of my lungs. It's really just, this is my preference, and why my preference. Everyone's experience, no matter what it is different. So I'm going to start off with a little bit something more heavy, because I've been dealing with my depression and a lot last couple of weeks, and one of them is songs that hit home for me. The first one that I have on my list is "This Is Me Trying" from Folklore, and I will admit that I have never I've liked some of the songs from Folklore, but I was never like a big person that was into the album. But after watching her Long Pond and watching her perform the songs, in the film, I realized that both Folklore and Evermore have songs that hit far outfield than you realize. "This Is Me Trying" is, I interpret that song and as someone who's trying to do what they need to do. They're trying to push through depression, push through a rough day, push through life. Because for me, everybody's different, and that's how I interpret that song. Even the "At Least I'm Trying." I'm surprised that she didn't make a video for that, but this Folklore did come out during COVID time, when everybody was in quarantine, and I always worried that if anything happens like that again, what is going to happen. I think, as far as a drag performer personally, not being able to do shows in front of people was hard. When we came back at the end of October and early January, and I was able to have my show and for 2021, it was good. It really was, and it felt amazing to be in that position, because the pandemic had really threw people out there. And then another song from Folklore. There's a lot of them from Folklore that hit home. "Illicit Affairs" hits home in a different way. I've been in abusive relationships. I've been in, toxic relationships. I've been in relationships where I feel like you would ruin yourself for that person, or ruin or sacrifice things for them more than anybody else. That's going to go into another song that hits home for me. "Tolerated" is another one. When I first heard that song "Tolerated" is from Evermore. So, I always say that Folklore and Evermore literally came out almost back to back. They came out in the same year, I believe. And they were both interesting albums because they were different than what Taylor had done previously, and even what she's released most recently. So it was it was like during her COVID time, she had to come. I got the vibe that she was getting at peace with things that have happened in life, and then she also told some stories too. And I also have, "Exile" and "Mirrorball" from Folklore as well. Exile, I remember when I first was listening to this new album when it first came out. It was I was literally I was at the arcade, and I remember listening to the song, and I was like, it was a moment where I was like, oh my god, this is. It made me think of my previous relationship with my partner that I had been dating. We weren't together anymore. We've been split apart, but it made me think of that relationship. And then another one that seems to hit home is, and I know a lot of Swifties love this song. I was not like I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan. I would just say I did not really learn much about it until because I'm still a fairly new Swiftie. Like, yes, I've always liked her music to an extent, but actually understanding the context of music she does understanding her story a little bit better helped me understand the music that she has put out recently. And that was All Too Well from Red. It's insane that song, that it came out 11 years ago. That's insane, and it was, and yes, I did listen to the 10-minute version. I finally got to fully listen to it at the concert film. It was it actually, because I've heard the 5-minute version, and I think I've probably heard some of the 10-minute one. I'm not really sure, but I didn't really pay much attention to it until I heard it being performed, and I was. Some of these songs, some of them they're not songs that I would have picked originally, but when I watched them be performed or when I watched them on the videos, the connection to different made me understand it better, and then I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Another song that I never really got to talk about was Mirrorball in Folklore. Now, I performed that song recently because it was one of those days where I was told to do 2 numbers, and I did my Midnight's mix, and then I did Mirrorball. I wasn't going to do Mirrorball, but at a court show, I tend to try things I would never normally not do at a regular show, because I don't feel like that song, and nobody would have known it. Unless you're a Swiftie and you really follow Taylor's music and you know all her music, you would not know, really, where it's. And I interpreted that song as, putting on a show, and and not just putting on a show. You're always changing yourself depending on what you're up to, what your audience is, and how you want to fit in. I think I struggle with, I feel like, as far as fitting in goes, I feel like I've never fit in. I never have. I don't know if it's because I'm neurodivergent. I don't know if it's because I have a slightly more intelligent approach to the way I think about things. I never, when I started performing, I never thought that I would be in this position. But here we are. And being on that stage and doing everything I can to get them to notice you. Sorry. Water. Another song that that hits home, and it hits home in a way where, that as a former pageant person and a person who is tired of games and is Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. Sometimes I jokingly call some people in our court that the Heartbreak Prince. Not because they've broken my heart, but I feel like there's some people who they play stupid games and they win stupid prizes. It's almost like I don't really want to do pageants anymore for that reason. Not to be gonna lie, I've thought about going back to competing in pageants, but I also know that puts a level of being looked at constantly as a, your social media is constantly, looked up. And believe it or not, people, the people that judge you in these pageants, especially the ones that are at the state, national level, they know you on Facebook, they are going to stalk your profiles. They're gonna if you post anything, they're gonna probably question you about it. That's what I watch when I was competing and stuff. I always watch what I post. I try to watch posts with my dog, upcoming shows, events, and that's kind of why I'm like, maybe I don't want to play anymore. It's not fun. So, and then the last two songs I have on here that I have not mentioned are Antihero from Midnights, and clearly that song is a jab at, she talks about her depression, she talks about her self-loathing, and that's something that I struck. The fact that Taylor was able to be honest to say, I'm the problem, I understand exactly what that is. There are days when my depression does work the graveyard shift, and I'm up all night and I can't sleep. There's days when my shows, that there are shows I've canceled out because I've been depressed and I don't feel like going on stage, or I'm too tired, and I feel like I'm letting those people down. So I understood the whole concept of that song. But the last song is, Clean from 1989. I actually just, a lot of people talk about this song as a very therapeutic, emotional song for people who have recovering from addiction. And I didn't yes, I just the title alone would make you think it would be about addiction. But I also know that in my interpretation of it, being clean of something doesn't just mean being off drugs or alcohol or something unhealthy. Clean also means that you're cleansing yourself of negative energy, negative people, toxic people. And I'm slowly, finally escaping that, because there were times where I never thought I could get away from the negativity of people. But those are kind of the songs that I chose as my hit home songs. I do plan on doing, ones that actually make me cry, and so on.